some of this information a little bit more clearly. And I really recommend putting this on the BookMap. It's free. Anyway, you see the orders here. You don't see as many, and you don't see the numbering where there's heavier. The numbers give you an indicator as to where there are more heavy flow, but you can also see it even for free on the profile here, which is the current order book. So when you right-click on these, you can kind of see where what you've got for columns, and you can choose more too. I won't get into that today, but I just thought it was very interesting to show how resistance is building up in these areas, and they're all almost all of them are automated. I'm sure people are jumping on the bandwagon when they see these orders printing to put orders up there, maybe to just get in on the action, but these are clearly robots, and they will disappear at times. You'll see this.
I see exactly the same, and I'm actually making a short video how to compare.
Oh, I love it.
Exactly same pricing, same everything, and stacked like this, line after line, all the way to 21,000 level, all the way.
Yes, exactly. It's super critical. And so that let me see how that compares to those who trade the VWAP. That would be here. I don't have the VWAP on that screen. I don't have it on this one either. I have it on my other screen, but again, my VWAP isn't always the thing I'm using. So anyway, this is critical to be able to see, in my opinion, and you can see it on the Sierra charts on our indicators clearly. You don't need another indicator for it. I show this because a lot of people are being, I feel like manipulated into all these indicators as if this is very, very special. You just kind of have to know how to do it and know that it's available. And so I'll flip it back to Simon, but I just thought this was interesting to show the levels and what I'm seeing on the BookMap and how these volume bubbles, which is basically just the green and red are clearly what that means. But the fact that we can see the volume here, zoom in and out on time frames as well, and see more up or down depending on what we're looking for in terms of a trade. And so we're looking for levels. You can also print the volume in a traditional sense here at the bottom. And then we see the spreads live, which is one thing I do use this a lot. This is nice when you're scalping, especially. You can see the spread, and if the spread starts, getting pretty crazy, then you might see volume. And so when the spread tightens, just hang out for a minute and see if there's a better entry. And that depends on your trading style, of course. But I'm just kind of stating the more traditional sort of spread trading type thing. So when there's spreads, there's opportunity.
How far can you go in this? I asked the question, but I just want to see because I'm recording this. How far can you go where you see levels? Because level on Sierra chart, it gives you historical and intraday SAL levels, substantial attraction levels, which for you are these red lines and this thing. It gives me
correct.
Historical. Like I can see a lot or beyond the current price,
Right. So for now, because you see where the cutoff is, that's just because of this morning. I hadn't started it on this platform, so I had not downloaded it yet. So I can go into the settings and download historical data to a certain point, and you can see here I can go back to live, but I can always go back, and it will show me historical as far back as I want to download it, similar to sierrachart in that way, so that I can see where it was eaten up too. So as these things start getting eaten up, I want to see that historically, and you can see this one's getting chewed away at a little bit here. You can see the orders are starting to get a little flaky, simply meaning that they're not probably real orders, but there they go. There's some more orders coming in, and now they're going to soak that up, and you'll see volume coming in by the indication of the bubble and volume here, confirmation visually that it's real volume. And if you have your own platform that shows any kind of other volume, live volume, then you can confirm that way as well. But at the end of the day, you're trying to see if these orders are going to get soaked up and if it will hold. And as Simon said, these are SAL levels as well. So, yeah.
The reason why also this level for me was a bullish or support level, at the bottom, the biggest substantial attraction level, SAL level, showed up and stayed there. And this was to me a clear indication for a long, and the stop loss would have been just below that level.
And I believe that's somewhere around here, or Simon, on my screen.
The very bottom, yes.
Yeah. That's what I saw too.
It stayed there. So now with the SAL level, with the SAL indicator with Sierra chart, you can customize it. Each chart you can put, let's say for the daily, I put only one. one indicates the heaviest volume embedded in the market. Could be a market maker, could be anything, but doesn't matter. This is the heaviest that shows on the daily. On the hourly, I would put, let's say, 10. And on the smaller chart, I'll put 20 or 25, depending on the market that I'm trading.
Now, this is interesting to see the orders getting soaked up here as well, especially because, again, we're in a volume gap. We're in this gap where price can move fairly quickly. And when orders are stacked up like this, it's a nice indicator to see, hey, wow, we've got movement, especially if there's volume. We have a small amount of volume coming in. It's not much, but at least it's an example live for you to see how even the SAL will do the same thing. It'll move out of the way once it's taken up and reset and do basically what this is doing. So I think, Simon, you're working on a little secret thing in the background as to showing how sierrachart can do exactly what this does.
Exactly the same. I'll just give me a second. I will make it.
You've got a sample for us. That's even better.
No, I do. It didn't work because it was on the ES and my ES got.
I see. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah,
I have a picture of how it should look like.
Yeah, sure.
It's done on sierrachart.
I love that.
Wait a second. I'm looking for it now.
You'll have to take the screen back.
No, I'm making the video. So I'm sorry, I'm making my video. So just don't worry about the.
Okay. Yeah, you let me know when you want the screen back. Yeah. You just take it back. So also you can see here that once we hit that, those orders kind of they were satisfied with what they had here. I mean, just like any other. I mean, those of you who have been trading a long time, I'm not saying anything new. I'm just pointing out this visualization if you haven't seen it before. And I'll make a small note here that you'll see these orders coming in again, just very, just spaced nice and perfect, which just tells you that there's not a lot of human interaction here on the markets today for whatever reason. And so that's helpful to know as well too, because it does sometimes the algorithms, they can be easily traded with because they're sort of like, they become predictable at times, especially if you're trading the same market a lot every day or same few markets. That's one of the reasons I like to just trade basically the same four or five markets maximum. I don't move and look at new things and try to go explore new markets because I don't understand them well. I don't understand the movements. I don't understand the algorithms and so on. So, but anyway,
which are your 4 or 5 main markets you like to just like?
Yeah, sure. So for my main 5 are NQ, ES, so Nasdaq, S&P, so gold, GC, CL, or oil, and then of course the Bitcoin futures. I've been trading Bitcoin futures for about 5 or 6 years and been very comfortable with the movement. They're become predictable, but I will say in fairness, they're predictable to me because I use different indicators for that on my TradingView platform. And so I trade that a bit differently. I don't have that loaded on sierrachart or any other platform. I do have it on here. I believe I do have it on BookMap. But I don't actually. I just find it like it's not useful now because I've become used to trading it with specific types of indicators that I have used for years. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm saying that because I know a lot of traders will have underlines that they're just used to using other indicators on, and not to say you shouldn't try sierrachart, especially if it's the major markets, the major future markets. You should try it for sure because I think you'll be very pleased with what you can see. And how you can make better decisions, or at least confirmed decisions, versus even BookMap won't tell you confirmation. It won't give you any of that stuff. I mean, it's just telling you order flow, right? And yes, there are indicators that you can pay for on the BookMap that makes it a bit heavy, and that can give you more information. But it's to me, on just a professional opinion, I feel that it's a little heavy and clunky the more that you add to it. That's why I like to use the BookMap very simply. And keep it just a few indicators with liquidity zones and orders, heavy order zones, because that's kind of where it started. So I stick with that.
So basically, I sent you a picture of what I'm looking at to accomplish with sierrachart that will be available on sierrachart, but I'm just looking to work on it. I'm looking to get some time to work on this. It should look like exactly what you have. But I'm just trying to simplify it. I sent you a picture if you want to download it and share it.
Would you like me to share it? Yeah, sure.
If you can, so it can be on the video too.
Absolutely, it'll be on my Telegram.
Download it and share it.
Let me do that here. I've got you here. I have nothing nothing to hide here, really. So I use Telegram very professionally. So yeah, let's see if I can get that a little larger. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
So for those, can everybody see that? And if you can see very much like BookMap.
Yeah.
And I can make BookMap look even more like this because just by spreading it out. So you'll see how this version of it is just essentially the BookMap. Even the way the lines show here, it's exactly. So we're working on some secret sauce here that may allow us to just stick with Sierrachart. And I would love to drop another platform, to be honest. I'm not speaking anything negative against BookMap. It's a fantastic platform that's been around a long time. But if I can consolidate and use our indicators and have a chart in the same platform next to a BookMap live in the same platform without a performance hit too much or at all, I'd be very ecstatic.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. So how do you use your levels once you anticipate a level? Just quickly, because I'm still waiting for the Nasdaq. Nasdaq, on the long term, just to be clear, folks, on the long term, as a swing trade, I am in the Nasdaq long. I'm using my CFDs for this. CFD is it's equivalent, same thing as the futures market, but I am bullish on the Nasdaq, okay, which is NDX USD. Bullish all the way to the new high, which we had for the day. And if I catch a smaller entry using futures, I could do that too. It's just the fact that it did not touch my line to the tick. It threw me off. You know, usually I love my lines to touch to the tick before I think about a long. But then I grabbed it not to miss the opportunity. I am using spot CFD for this. And
yeah,
anybody who doesn't understand CFDs, please ask. Don't hesitate. Go ahead.
Oh, just to answer the question as to how I find my levels. My levels are like, as far as BookMap's concerned, I've explained that, I think, but I'll say a little bit more because I like the way this chart is set up here. I've spread it, I've pulled it out a bit. And so in terms of BookMap, and I see this printed, I go, okay, are those opportunities that I can look at on the SAL? So sometimes I'll first look at BookMap because it's right there. And then if I haven't already done analysis on the SAL, I should do in the morning, right? So I'm just looking at that and I'm trying to figure out, volume profile. It's very fast. I'm blind without it. I have volume profile on my, I basically tried to mimic what Simon's come up with from years ago before I came back into Sierrachart. I tried to mimic it on TradingView. You can't quite do that because you don't have the same, the program isn't meant to be run on it. So to get my levels, I'm very Fibonacci heavy. As long as I see a SAL level lined up, especially if I see volume profile, SAL, and Fibonacci, I'm like, hello. So depending on the direction, I think you can just take it from there, right? So if I see support, I'm going to probably take that trade, even if it's just I'm poking in, or I will say I'm probing. So I will probe a market in that area with very tight stops, and I'm not looking necessarily always for a scalp. When I'm probing, I am also looking for a longer term, just an entry, good entry. And that is where I struggle sometimes. So that's where Simon I feel like has this confidence that I'm learning still from him and other traders in our group, like Gary. Andrew has some great things too. Sometimes he's in our group and he'll come out with some really, hey, by the way, guys, have you thought of this? And it shakes us up a bit and we look at something and gets us out of our zone in a good way. So I'm looking for an entry a lot of times, Simon, to get to the point with BookMap and whatnot, so that I can get the levels, kind of my targets as we call them, figured out.
Do you see also stops? Because if you're looking for a heavy level that will support your trade, do you put your stop losses below it, knowing that if that level is taken, it's going to go further down against you?
I try to keep very tight stops. I'm probably tighter than you guys are because right now I'm building on a smaller account, but typically when I'm trading on my own larger accounts, I would, yes, the answer is yes. I set a stop, where a volume poke might be, or if there's a Fibonacci below it, I will say, okay, that looks like, it could attract there too, because it's, of course, it's not always about support and resistance zones. It's about attraction zones too. Excuse me.
Yeah. Exactly. It is about attraction zones too, because I use these levels too also for my targets. A lot of them will attract the market to them. It's similar to spoofing, right? Very much so. So these levels are very important to us. And here's the NASDAQ coming down to the level.
Breaking a lot of orders there.
And it's coming to my level.
A lot of volume coming in here.
Yes, sir. Any questions?
Simon, typically, what's your, I know it depends if it's a swing trade or if it's a scalp, but what's your range of stop loss sizes?
I don't have a range. I wait for the market to hit my stop, my level. I confirm, and then I execute. Typically speaking, you saw it in the perfect thing. You saw it on the gold. My stop loss, I'll tell you. If you want an exact number.
Or just an average. What does it average out to on historically like?
Okay, I'll tell you. My stop loss was 20 ticks, right? My target from 86 was 800 ticks.
Okay.
Right? From 86 to 68, that's almost 800 ticks. So you see, okay. I don't trade in between. Once it hits my level, then I look at the trading. Before that, after that, I don't bother myself. It's just extra efforts that you put into it without, like, it's negative efforts. This is why, with experience, with the amount of contracts I trade sometimes, it's all plays roles and plays a role in my decision, right?
Sure.
So 20 ticks risk versus 800 ticks profit. And if the market was a bit faster, a bit more active, my first target would have been out with 10, 12 ticks first target, which is 20 ticks, because that is on 2 contracts. And then the runner would have been stopped out. So that trade would have been basically a flat trade, maybe 1 or 2 ticks profit. So my trading is very safe because I'm patient, even with my SAL levels. I don't want to see them all. I want to see the biggest one on the chart, and I want to see maximum 20 on the small chart. So I want to filter out the best 20. And if they are favoring my trades, then I'm taking that trade. Right?
Okay.
We hit the price now, exact price that I was looking at. All we need to do is now look for confirmations. And if it confirms, it's a trade. If it doesn't confirm, we let it go. We wait. Now we're waiting for a poke in, poke out. I explained that, right, before? What do you see here on the NASDAQ, Josh?
Yeah, so we're pushing down pretty heavily with some volume, as you can see on my screen here, but there's not any orders right below that. So there's not a lot of demand to, there's not a lot of, bids down that way, but they could still push it down. This is an automation area right now. We're in automation zone here where there's a lot of open, we'll call it, blue skies. Blue skies would be up, but maybe open ocean, whatever you want to call it. But there's not a lot of, printed orders down here. So I'm not real sure if this is just a little bit oversold at the moment. And they can still do it. I mean, institutions can do what they want. They have the power to do it. So, but in essence, I would look here typically in the healthy market to see a little down, like you said, poke in, poke out, and then we'd have a confirmation for a little bit up. But I don't have orders printing in either direction. So again, we're in automation territory, which can be a little disconcerting. But you might still look for a nice it may be even a short-term trade.
NASDAQ is intimidating, so that's what it does.
Yes, yes.
And then it will boom.
Great point. Great point.
So I'm waiting also for the some kind of confirmations. Let me go see. So yeah, we just wait and see. Just wait and see. That's
yeah, NASDAQ. It's funny you said that about intimidating because it'll shake you. It'll shake you in and out of trades, and that's why I don't like scalping NASDAQ at all. I did scalp it earlier with a really clear trade, but I will only scalp from now on. Basically, from after yesterday's little shenanigans, I had a couple of bad scalps. I'm like, what am I doing? Come on now, you didn't have confirmation fully for that, and yeah, it was a good trade. Like I actually made money on it, then I let it go. And I let it hit my stop because I didn't get my targets. And so that was more of a sort of a decision-making process I needed to just feel as a someone who's only been trading for 10 years. You still make those silly, noob mistakes, as we say.
Yep. It's similar to when you play soccer and you're the defender, right? Or playing basketball. I played basketball all my life, and I watch soccer. I'm a soccer fanatic.
Nice.
The defender, if you commit the attacker will probably chew you up. So you have to wait for the attacker to commit first before you defend. And now we have some heavy volume showing up. Hopefully this will hold it. Very heavy volume I see on the daily showed up now. And now if we start making higher highs on a very small chart, not to lose a lot of movement, if we start going up on the very small chart, for example, 233 tick chart from here, then this will give me an idea. This is a swing long. Do you understand how it works? So on a smaller chart, I would wait for the market to give me higher highs because the big volume just showed up right here, right at the very bottom now where it hit. And now see.
Now you don't have a screen. Would you like that back, Samuel? I think we've got a good idea.
I'm videoing it too. So not to
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So once we start making higher highs, and this area, the good idea about this is when we have a SAL level that showed up, you can use it also as a stop loss, right? That's the idea.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point. Yeah, I'll use pivots sometimes for that, just because the pivots are, these pivot points that print on typical, everybody sees them, so a lot of times you can kind of just trade like an institution trader. They're basically entering where your stop losses are.
Yes.
A lot of times they just know, they know the levels you're looking at in terms of larger, the larger thing. And there's enough retail traders out there now to where some institutional traders, the smaller guys, will use some of these levels to just make their trades for the day because they're trading their own money too. Yeah, that's the only time when I really could confirm manipulation, if you want to say that, or just opposite trading. They're just in the game with you. I wanted to say, though, that we're in this volume gap a little bit here. I'm looking at the 15-minute chart. As you said, you go down a little bit, and there's a pretty decent pivot where there's a poke out at 818 or 820.
I am waiting for the market to stabilize here. If it doesn't stabilize, it's going to come back down much lower. But here's what I see, Josh. Maybe you can confirm. If you see 75, 20875, if you see that level, once we break this level, the market is going to soar. This is how I see it.
So that's your confirmation zone.
No, that is when I start making my smallest chart starts to make higher highs.
I got you.
So for a swing trade, scalping is different. Scalping, you're in and out completely.
Right, right.
Yeah. So what do you see at 75?
So at 75, let's look here. 75 is right above my Fibonacci, which is what it is bouncing off of right now, what it's getting confused inside of right now, which is a 866, and just below that for the 65. When I say 65, I mean the 65%, 0.65 or 0.65 Fibonacci. I have those two stacked together because that is a zone. Fibonacci's aren't exact, bounce points, but they're zones. So to answer your question, I actually don't have clarity on that number. Just above this, if it starts moving above, that's the week low essentially. So that's 74.25.
On my Sierra chart, since it reads historic plus intraday, I have it clearly at 75. And if we go through it, I think the market's going to soar. The Nasdaq is going to soar.
Yeah, when I say the week low, I don't mean the low of the week. I mean it's essentially it's a local weekly low, so it's an average of almost like an ADR area. So that's 74, 75 area.
Yeah, we wait and see. It is kind of a tricky market. Today specifically, I don't know why. It's slower than any other Tuesday. I mean, not any other Tuesday. Your typical Tuesday. It's not your typical Tuesday somehow. But
yeah, we've got support here. When I look at the a different version of this book map, you'll see that there are orders here that we just bounced off of. Let me get to the front here. Here. And we're printing a little bit clearer on this version with the indicator. So now we've got a zone that we're going to be in and out of until they decide to break in one direction or the other. But again, to Simon's point, if this thing goes up, it can go pretty nicely if these orders stay in there because it's got some liquidity. These are liquidity zones, right? They're not just orders, and market loves liquidity, no matter where it is, as long as there's volume for it, as long as there's people stepping up to the plate or machines stepping up to the plate. So if we break this 183, so there's your 75 sign. That's your answer. I had it on the wrong chart, so my apologies. But your 875 was sitting there right here with a big order zone. So if it breaks through that, you're absolutely right. We can see a nice breakthrough, a lot of this liquidity, which is what I was looking for on the other chart. So I'm going to just stay on this chart because this is the one I normally use. I think I accidentally moved the chart out of the main window, so it's easy to do on accident with BookMap.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, this is what I was looking for.
75 at this time has the heaviest amount of volume embedded in the market. So once it breaks it, I think it's going to go nicely.
A lot of liquidity here.
Yeah.
And that's something I can't see on, like on TradingView. Not that I know of. I'm sure there's some way to do that, but I haven't yet tried to do a BookMap sort of effect on TradingView because that's where I was coming from. But I already bought this years ago, and I'm like, oh, I'll just have this in a second window, and this is all I see. That's all I need it for, I mean to say. So if I just look at this in the corner of my eye, soon to be Sierra chart, be nice to see that. Once I get my feeds corrected, it'll be great.
Nice.
Go down to 2 platforms.
Worst case scenario, if there's no confirmation, there's no trade.
Right.
That's the worst case scenario. So we were successful in anticipating the Nasdaq to come down to this level, right? That was not how many people could do that. But the thing is, if this area doesn't hold, which I will be very surprised if it doesn't hold, then you just let it go, no trade. It's very simple.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we don't at least have a bit up into that zone. We've got that zone. When I say the zone, I'm saying the one into the 913, 900 level and above, at least to retrace a bit.
Yep.
I'd be surprised if we don't at least see that. But there's been I've got a little bit. I've got another indicator that I've used for years that shows a little bit of manipulation on this way down in the very first move down when we started to go down around the that same area, the 920 area, when we started to move. So that doesn't mean anything for this conversation, but it's just something I look at. Say, okay, well maybe there's something meaningful to that, or it's over. Who knows? So that's why I don't mention it here. But we've got some bullish divergence on it. For those of you who look at RSIs and things like that, and that's nice. I like to mention that because it's like, hey, look, again, the SAL is showing us that already, so we can kind of confirm that the SAL is giving us the truth by way of order flow, but also some other indicators that people are coming from. I like to mention those because this is new to a lot of people when they're on these calls, and they're like, well, how does this compare? Well, why do I change, and how do I maybe convert or transition to mostly focusing on this new thing that Simon and his team is talking about here, because nobody really wants to move unless it's very clear as to why they should move. Nobody likes change. I think especially traders, unless there's something that's like convincing enough. Now you have that side of traders that are constantly changing, and those aren't the people we're probably talking to today. We're talking to people who are looking to really make this have a tool to give them confirmation on something they're already probably good at, or if you guys are just coming new to trading, this will save you a lot of pain